India's national security advisor, Ajit Doval, has visited Moscow and held talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Russia's state-run news media reported that Putin and Doval stressed their commitment to a strategic partnership. Russia is one of India's top arms suppliers, and the ties between the two countries date back to the Soviet era. India is also a major buyer of Russian oil, which is a key source of revenue for Moscow's military offensive in Ukraine. The talks between Putin and Doval came after U.S. President Donald Trump imposed an additional 25% tariff on Indian goods, part of a broader push to pressure Russia to stop its war in Ukraine by targeting its trade partners.
The effects of Donald Trump's punishing tariffs are already being felt. Small business owners, like Indian-American Chietigj Vita, are worried about future business prospects. He sells jewels and clothes imported from India.
India is getting punished for buying oil from Russia. I mean, what do we have to do with that? You know, we're stuck in the middle of the big boys fighting, I guess is what I call it. It would be very difficult to do business. I think the jewelry portion of our business would almost have to shut down, because how can we pay 50% tariff on gold jewelry where the price of gold is already so high?
And it's not just luxury items feeling the squeeze. Grocery sales are sliding too.
It'd be really difficult to stay open. That's all I can say. Been down. In the last 26 years, I haven't seen business this down. And yeah, it's just people are hurting, so they're not spending that much as they used to.
Back in India, exporters fear their buyers will turn to cheaper markets instead.
So this is going to be a very hard time for us. This has been... Actually, the Indian goods are going to be very expensive in the US market. So the competitive edge that we had before is no longer will be there.
The US views India's Russian oil imports as undermining sanctions and has hit back with tariffs. New Delhi calls it unfair. The move leaves Prime Minister Narendra Modi in a bind. Over the years, he has cultivated warm ties with Trump, trading bear hugs and praises.
Really an honor to see you, and you've been my friend for a long time, and congratulations on having done a great job.
Modi has also been close to Russian President Vladimir Putin, India's historic ally in defense and energy. Now, his nation is at a crossroad: loosen ties with Russia or risk a trade clash with America.
Well, for more, I'm joined now by Chietigj Bajpaee from Chatham House in the UK. Mr. Bajpaee, it's good to have you with us. What do you think is behind the U.S. penalizing India with such high tariffs?
Well, there are two separate issues at work here. One is ongoing negotiations to secure a bilateral trade agreement, using tariffs essentially as leverage to extract favorable trade terms from New Delhi. There's a deadline for the 1st of August in order to secure a trade deal. That deadline is obviously passed, and Trump has clearly grown increasingly frustrated with India, referring to it as a dead economy that does very little business with the U.S. So that's one aspect. The second is these secondary tariffs on India. India is being essentially caught in the crossfire of U.S. efforts to get Russia to agree to a ceasefire or a peace agreement in Ukraine. And given that India is the second largest importer of Russian crude, he sees this as a way of applying pressure on Moscow.
And what about the geopolitics of the region? The United States is crafting strong ties with India's arch-rival Pakistan, with seemingly less regard for Delhi's sensitivities than has been the norm in recent years. Why is this happening?
So, yeah, as you alluded to, the Trump administration has recently concluded a trade deal with Pakistan, which has seen tariff level drop from an initial 29% to 19%. This follows the meeting between Trump and Pakistani Army Chief Asim Munir in June of this year. Part of this, I think, reflects a meeting of the minds between both countries, between Pakistan and the U.S. The Trump administration claims that it helped to broker the ceasefire between India and Pakistan following their brief four-day conflict in May. Pakistan has agreed with this narrative. India has not. Trump has also expressed interest in Pakistan's natural resource deposits, referred to the country's quote-unquote massive oil reserves. But beyond this, I think Trump is really trying to use his engagement with Pakistan as leverage in order to apply pressure on India, which I think is frankly potentially a dangerous move, given that India-Pakistan relations and the Kashmir issue is a clear red line for India.
India and the United States are strategic partners. Do you think the relationship will endure this?
Well, I think recent developments are a clear wake-up call for New Delhi. India perceived that it had some sort of special relationship with the U.S. Modi was, of course, the fourth world leader to visit Washington after Trump's inauguration. And I think India was among the most positive countries about a second Trump term. Some of the, Trump's recent statements and actions have clearly taken some of the shine out of the bilateral relationship. And I think it has reaffirmed India's long-standing commitment to what it calls strategic autonomy in its foreign policy, which means engaging all major poles of influence in the international system, including countries with which the U.S. has a history of difficult relations, the U.S., Russia, China, Iran, for example.
Yeah, let me just so that before we run out of time, we've got about a minute left. We're hearing now that Russian President Vladimir Putin is expected to visit India in late August. And after 7 years, India's Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, is expected to visit China. What can we read into this?
Well, I think it is showing a renewed convergence of interest between Russia, China, and India. The leaders of all three countries, as you noted, are set to meet at the end of this month at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit. India is set to host President Putin. India's national security advisor has recently visited Russia. And there's also a talk of reviving this long dormant Russia, India, China trilateral initiative. So I think all of this reflects that some of the shine has clearly come off the Indo-U.S. relationship, this idea of some sort of special relationship between both countries. I think India and the U.S. will continue to regard each other as key strategic partners. The U.S. looking at India as some sort of counterbalance against China, India looking to U.S. as a key strategic defense and technology partner. But the shine or some of the irrational exuberance on the India-U.S. relationship has, I think, faded to some degree.
Okay. Mr. Bajpaee, we appreciate your time and your valuable insights and good context with many, many moving parts in this story. Thank you.
Thank you.